Checking things now. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we're unpacking one of Microsoft's most exciting AI platforms, Microsoft Copilot Studio. If you've been hearing buzzwords like AI agents, digital employees, Copilot credits, and you're wondering how they all fit together, you've come to the right place. Over the next half hour, we'll go step by step from the basics to real world enterprise scenarios. And hey, if you enjoy deep, practical Microsoft AI content, like this episode, share it with your colleagues, and smash that subscribe button. Let's dive in. A few years ago, if you asked Microsoft to help automate a process with conversational AI, you'd probably get Power Virtual Agents. Solid at the time, but very much a guided decision tree. You had to define trigger phrases, map out nodes, and hope the user didn't wander off script. Fast forward to today, and we've entered the era of generative AI agents. Copilot Studio isn't just a chatbot builder now. It's a platform for building AI agents that can answer questions, sure, but also retrieve knowledge, call APIs, execute workflows, request approvals, collaborate across systems. It's think about less like a receptionist and more like a capable digital employee. And that shift is really important. If you're finding this useful already, take a second, like and share this episode so more folks don't miss this kind of clarity. All right, let's lean into the evolution. The classic experience was like painting by numbers, predefined topics, click-through configuration, limited reasoning. The new experience uses generative AI to interpret intent, chain actions, reason over multiple steps, and even collaborate with other agents. We're talking a shift from if this, then that to something closer to figure this out and get it done. Now, zoom out for a second. Microsoft is calling these digital employees, positioning them as teammates that shoulder repetitive work. Think HR agents answering policy questions in Teams, an IT help desk agent that's resetting passwords, or a procurement agent that pings you for approval on purchases. Now, obviously, there's an urgent question behind all this. How does licensing and cost work? Grab a coffee. This part matters. Microsoft moved from messages to Copilot credits. Think of credits as a unified currency. You can get them via capacity packs, 25,000 credits for $200 a month, or pay as you go at 1 cent per credit via Azure subscription, or an annual pre-purchase for predictable spend. Now, here's the nuance. If you're a Microsoft 365 Copilot licensed user building internal agents for Teams or SharePoint, you might not need to buy extra credits. But the moment you expose an agent to external users, say a public website, Facebook, WhatsApp, or use autonomous triggers like email or database events, yep, that burns credits. Autonomous triggers consume about 25 credits per trigger. Always check Microsoft's latest docs, because terms can evolve. Now, to make this real, imagine an internal HR agent for 500 employees in Teams. If you're already licensed for Microsoft 365 Copilot and the agent is grounded in SharePoint or Graph, no extra credit packs may be required. Flip that to a public website agent, and every interaction draws on your Copilot credits. That's where capacity packs or pay as you go come in. Now, multiply that by a global enterprise with hundreds of agents, some internal, some external, and suddenly cost forecasting and governance become mission critical. So, what is the rule of thumb? Internal licensed users plus Microsoft grounded agents usually don't need extra credits. External channels, autonomous triggers, or heavy premium connectors budget credits carefully. And this is where governance can't be an afterthought. Use the Power Platform Admin Center for environment strategy, enforce DLP policies, monitor credit consumption, and build a center of excellence so citizen developers don't spawn agent sprawl. Responsible AI and auditability aren't optional. They're the difference between an experiment and a sustainable digital workforce. So, the bottom line, choose architecture and licensing deliberately. It can save you thousands and a lot of headaches. Up next, we'll map some real enterprise scenarios like HR and IT agents to concrete cost models. Checking that now. Absolutely. So, as orgs empower employees to build agents, Power Platform admins need visibility and control. That's where DLP policies, managed environments, audit logs, and a center of excellence come in. Responsible AI isn't just about building powerful agents, it's about building trustworthy ones that respect your security boundaries and your data governance. Think of it like giving your digital employees managers, policies, and accountability, just like you have. And bottom line for this segment, choose your architecture and licensing deliberately. The right choices can save thousands of dollars and set you up for security, scalability, and compliance from day one. Next up, we'll walk through real scenarios like an HR assistant, an IT help desk agent, a customer support agent, and an autonomous procurement agent with architecture diagrams in plain language so you can see exactly how it all fits together. Hmm. Picking right back up, let's ground this in real enterprise scenarios. Picture an HR digital employee inside Teams. Staff ask about leave policies, vacation carryovers, remote work rules, and the agent grounds answers in SharePoint and Graph. If someone asks, how many leave days do I have left? It can call an action to check the balance and even kick off an approval flow. Now, if everyone has a Microsoft 365 Copilot license and the agent is internal, usage may be covered under that entitlement. But if you expose it outside for job applicants or use autonomous triggers, then Copilot credits apply. See why architecture decisions matter so much? Now, IT help desks are usually the poster child. Password resets, software install requests. How do I connect to the VPN? With an agent built in Copilot Studio, you can automate the routine stuff, escalate the tricky ones to human techs, and integrate with your service management system. Licensing, again, depends on whether it's internal only or external and whether autonomous steps are involved. And then customer support. Imagine a retail brand with a Copilot Studio agent on their website. It answers order status questions, returns policies, and escalates edge cases to human reps. Here, credit consumption depends on traffic volume and whether you add proactive outbound messaging. And finally, an autonomous procurement agent that monitors spend thresholds, initiates approval workflows, and integrates with ERP systems. That's where credit planning and careful governance really pay dividends. If this helped clarify things, like it, share it with your team, and leave a comment about which scenario you'd like us to deep dive next. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly One moment, checking that before diving deeper into Copilot Studio. Great question. Before we go deeper into Copilot Studio, we really need to ground one thing. What exactly is an AI agent? An AI agent is an intelligent software system that can understand your goal, reason about how to achieve it, take action using connected systems, and return results with minimal handholding. So instead of just answering a question like a traditional chatbot, an AI agent can actually do things. Like if you ask about parental leave, it can pull the policy, check your eligibility, start the leave request, notify your manager, and track approvals without you having to chase forms. And that's why you'll hear Microsoft talk about digital employees. It's the shift from answering to acting. And as we go on today, keep an ear out. Microsoft Copilot Studio isn't really about chatbots anymore. It's about building those intelligent, governed agents that work alongside humans and other agents to get real business done. Looking that up. This is such an important concept, so let's take a couple minutes. Microsoft's vision of digital employees is really about rethinking AI agents as actual coworkers, not just Q&A bots. Think of a new hire on day one. They get access to systems, responsibilities, a manager. An AI agent is similar, but instead of keyboard and mouse, it uses APIs, business systems, and connected services. It can understand natural language, reason about what steps are needed, act across systems, and collaborate with humans. For example, an HR digital employee could help you request maternity leave, check balance, generate forms, and track the request. An IT support agent could reset your VPN profile, verify identity, and escalate if needed. Finance and procurement agents can handle invoice approvals or spot low inventory and initiate purchase requisitions through workflows. The key difference from traditional chatbots is proactivity. Chatbots wait to be asked. Digital employees can take action when certain conditions are met, always within governance boundaries you define. And as Microsoft sees it, this is the future workforce, a mesh of humans and agents, scaling expertise without ballooning repetitive work. Pretty cool, right? And if you want more deep dives like this, don't forget to like this episode, share it with your team, and subscribe for more practical Microsoft AI explainers. See you next time. Checking that now. That's a great next topic. Autonomous workflows are the big new thing in the new Microsoft Copilot Studio experience. So here's the idea. Up to now, we've mostly talked about agents responding when someone asks a question. Reactive workflows, right? Autonomous workflows are different because the agent itself watches first events like a new email, a database record update, or a scheduled time and begins working. No prompts needed. For example, say a purchase request hits an ERP system at 2 a.m. The agent wakes up, checks company policy in SharePoint, reasons that manager approval is needed, kicks off an approval through Power Automate, notifies the manager in Teams, and updates the system all before breakfast. And, of course, human in the loop guardrails still apply. No $1 million purchases without a real person signing off. So, autonomous doesn't mean unchecked, it means automated within guardrails. And yeah, those triggers, those events, they consume Copilot credits, so plan accordingly. If you're enjoying breaking this down, like and share it because honestly, these details can save your org a lot of money and headaches. Now, licensing. Quick recap. If you're just building internal agents and you already have Microsoft 365 Copilot, you might be covered under fair use. But the second you go external, like customer portals or social channels, or switch on autonomous triggers, start budgeting Copilot credits, packets, PAYG, or prepaid. Always check the latest Microsoft guidance because terms evolve. All right, now the fun part. Picture a bank rolling out an IT help desk agent. It answers VPN issues at 2 a.m., escalates tricky ones to humans, stays internal. Probably covered under existing licensing. Now imagine that same bank exposing an agent on their public site for customer queries. Great segue. Checking that in now. Now this is the make or break part for Copilot Studio at scale. Imagine not just one or two agents, but hundreds. You've got an HR agent, IT help desk, finance, sales, and maybe even a procurement agent. Without governance, you'd have chaos. So first is identity and access. Your agents respect Microsoft Entra ID. They don't magically get access to every document in your company. Permissions still apply. Then role-based access control. So not everyone can spin up or publish agents willy-nilly. Next, environment strategy. Dev, test, UAT, prod. Don't build in one bucket and hope for the best. Then data loss prevention policies. DLP decides what systems can talk to each other. You don't want sensitive HR data leaking into a random third-party connector. And audit logs, so you know who did what and when. Also keep an eye on credit consumption. Those autonomous triggers rack up costs quietly. And treat agents like any other enterprise app. Version control, testing, approvals, rollbacks. And don't forget a center of excellence to stop agent sprawl. Bottom line, governance isn't the villain in this story, it's the unsung hero making sure your digital employees are reliable, compliant, and trusted. Next, we'll look at some concrete architectures for HR, IT, finance, and procurement agents, plus exactly where costs land. Checking now? Right. Identity is foundational. In Microsoft Copilot Studio, everything starts with knowing who the AI is acting for. So it leans on Microsoft Entra ID to authenticate users and enforce permissions. So if you and I both asked for sales data, we'd only each see what we're allowed to see. It's identity aware, not a one-size-fits-all bot. And when that agent takes actions like creating a purchase order, it checks again if you have the right to do that. And if not, it can route it through an approval flow instead of just doing it. Think of identity as the digital passport for every user and service connection. Without it, agents would be generic chatbots. But with identity, they become trusted coworkers who can safely read a SharePoint document, query Dataverse, or send a Teams message in context. That secure, seamless integration is why identity is so central. It turns AI from something experimental into something you can trust in the enterprise. Checking now. That's a very good question. If you're running an agent inside Teams or Microsoft 365 Copilot, identity feels automatic because the user is already signed in. The agent just inherits that. But say you put an agent on a public website. Now we need to know, is this visitor a customer, an employee, or just someone anonymous? Without identity verification, you can't safely pull personal data, so authentication becomes necessary. Even for internal agents, identity controls what actions can be performed, keeps auditing clear, and respects existing Microsoft permissions. And with autonomous agents, identity shifts to the service identity configured by admins. So identity isn't extra fluff. It's what makes these agents actually trustworthy in an enterprise setting. Checking that now. Not exactly. That would be a bit misleading. Every agent operates with some identity context. For interactive agents, it's usually the signed in user's identity, like when someone asks, "Show me my leave balance." For autonomous agents, there's often no human user at all, so they use a configured service identity or connection, something admins set up with the right permissions. So identity is always part of the picture. It's just a different form depending on whether the person or the system initiates the action. All right, simple version. Think of identity like an ID card in an office. Every employee has one, right? That card says what they can see and do. Now, if you're asking the agent, "Show me my leave balance," it uses your ID card to check just your info. But if the agent wakes itself up at 2 a.m. to check it to use, so it uses its own service ID with specific permissions. So it's not just for autonomous agents. Every agent needs an identity, but the type depends on how it started. Interactive agents use the user's identity. Autonomous agents use a service identity. Either way, identity is how Microsoft keeps Copilot Studios secure. Ch- Checking now. Sure. In even simpler terms, imagine you're at work. You show your ID card at the front desk to access what you're allowed to. If you ask a Copilot Studio agent, "Show me my leave balance," it uses your signed in identity to check that info. But if it's, say, 2 a.m. and an autonomous agent kicks off to process a new invoice, no human asked it to. So it uses a special service identity that admins configured. So the rule of thumb is if a person is asking, use their identity. If the agent's running on its own, use a service identity. That's how everything stays secure. In one line, an AI agent never works anonymously. It always works on behalf of someone's identity. That's the mental hook your podcast audience will remember. Checking that for you. That's the core question. In user interaction, identity is how the agent knows who is asking. If Rahul, Priya, and Amit all ask, "Show me my leave balance," the agent uses each signed in identity to pull the right info. So, without that identity, the agent just hears a question but doesn't know whose data it's supposed to use. That's why, even in normal conversations, identity is still essential. It's the foundation for personalization, security, and making sure the agent acts on behalf of the right person. Checking now. That's a subtle but important point. If you're logged in, that login is your identity. The agent doesn't need a separate login. It inherits the identity you already have through Microsoft 365. So you don't log into the agent directly, it just uses your existing authenticated identity to access your data and perform actions on your behalf. Checking that now. Yes, that's right. The agent uses your existing signed-in identity from Microsoft 365, so it doesn't make you log in again. It just uses what already exists to know who you are, what data you can access, and what actions you're allowed to perform. So, internal agents in Copilot Studio work seamlessly with Microsoft Entra ID enforcing permissions. That seamless flow is why the user experience feels so natural. Checking that now. Sure. The blueprint is a new concept in Copilot Studio that gives you a starting template for building an agent. So instead of starting every agent from scratch, Microsoft provides a pre-designed base, like for an IT help desk agent, that assumes common tasks like password resets or VPN troubleshooting. You then tailor it to your own systems. It saves time, enforces best practices, and gives consistency across multiple agents. Think of a blueprint more like an architectural drawing, not the finished building. It's a project template from Microsoft that you customize rather than inventing everything yourself. So it's a way to make building agents faster and more standardized. Checking that now. Yes, you can create your own blueprint, like most enterprises do. Think of the blueprint as your design document. Before writing a single prompt, you define what the agent needs to do, who will use it, what knowledge sources it can tap, what actions it's allowed to take, and which systems it integrates. Once that blueprint is clear, building the actual Copilot Studio agent just becomes the implementation of that plan. Microsoft even provides sample blueprints for common scenarios like HR or IT that you can adapt and standardize across teams. So, blueprint is the plan and agent is the build. Simple as that. Checking now. Yes, if you mean the blueprint feature inside Copilot Studio itself, not exactly. You create agents, and the blueprint is more like design guidance or a template you apply. So if you're reusing a pattern, teams usually copy a template agent or use Power Platform solutions to package and deploy them across environments. Microsoft also publishes use case blueprints like for HR, IT, or customer service, which you can adapt rather than reinvent. If you heard Blueprint in a recent preview, tell me which experience you're using and I can zoom in on that specific feature. All right. And with that, we've reached the end of today's deep dive into Microsoft Copilot Studio. I hope this helped you see not just what the platform does, but where Microsoft is heading with enterprise AI. Biggest takeaway? Successful AI agents aren't just about prompts. They're about identity, governance, and choosing the right licensing path. Get that right, and Copilot Studio becomes a powerful, scalable part of your digital workforce, not just another chatbot project.